I'm going to compare two headline incidents that show very different faces of cyber risk. In 2017, NotPetya broke out of Ukraine after a trusted software update was tampered with. It raced through corporate networks and knocked out operations from shipping to pharma. In 2020, the Twitter breach started with phone-based social engineering of employees in the US. But the impact was global because hijacked verified accounts can bend what millions of people believe in the moment. One case wrecked computers and logistics, the other shook information integrity during an election year. Case 1, NotPetya, 2017. What made NotPetya so dangerous is that it rode trust. Companies installed what looked like a routine update to the Ukrainian tax software MEDoc, and that legitimate pathway became the delivery vehicle. Once inside, it moved laterally at frightening speed by chaining Windows flaws with stolen credentials. Perfect conditions in flat, overprivileged networks. Even though a ransom note flashed, the code behaved like a wiper. It trashed the master boot record and left no viable way to decrypt, so paying wasn't a real option. My take is simple. The ransom was theater. The goal was destruction, and the planning assumed collateral damage far beyond Ukraine. The consequences felt painfully real. Maersk paused port operations and rebuilt thousands of machines. FedEx TNT struggled with manual workarounds and major losses. Merck faced manufacturing and distribution interruptions that are never trivial in pharma. What sticks with me is the contagion. Suppliers and customers of those firms also absorbed the shock because supply chains are tightly coupled. That's why economists later traced measurable spillovers long after the initial outage ended. By early 2018, the US and UK publicly attributed NotPetya to Russia's GRU, framing it as a state-linked destructive operation, not ordinary cybercrime. The often cited global losses, on the order of billions, capture only part of it. The harder part to price is the trust you lose when a partner's compromise can take you down tomorrow. My read: NotPetya validated a brutal playbook. Abuse a trusted updater, move fast inside networks, and accept global spillover as the cost of doing business. Case 2. Twitter hack, 2020. The Twitter breach was smaller in dollars but sharper in what it revealed about platforms. A small crew used vishing, convincing phone calls, to steer employees to a fake VPN page and to approve multi-factor prompts. With those credentials, they reached powerful internal support tools that can reset passwords and take over accounts. No fancy zero-day, just human factors and a lot of power concentrated behind a console. Once inside, they targeted verified high-profile accounts, political figures, celebrities, major brands. Roughly 130 accounts were affected, and many pushed a crypto giveaway before Twitter slammed the brakes, even pausing tweets from a wide swath of verified accounts for a time. The money they made was modest, but the timing mattered. During a US election year, watching the megaphone of public conversation get hijacked that quickly made the line between authentic speech and forged messages feel very thin, trust dipped, and it didn't bounce back overnight. Comparative reflection. Side by side, these attacks run on different currencies. NotPetya was an operational earthquake. It bricked systems, froze cranes and factory lines, and forced global companies to rebuild their networks from bare metal. The damage was immediate, measurable, and huge. The Twitter hack was an authenticity shock. It didn't stop ports or vaccines, it bent what millions might believe for a few tense hours. If I have to choose which poses the greater long-term risk, I lean toward NotPetya's model because it validates a destructive playbook that can create macro-level losses fast and spill across borders through supply chains. Still, I won't downplay Twitter's lesson. Repeated authenticity shocks can corrode public trust, and democracies run on trust. If an adversary times a similar breach for coordinated disinformation instead of a quick scam, the social cost could be high even if every server stays up. My top 3 recommendations. First, harden the software supply chain and design for assume breach. Validate who builds your software, sign and monitor updates end-to-end, and segment networks so one compromised endpoint can't roam freely. Keep privileged credentials tight and test offline backups until recovery is muscle memory. The goal is to turn a potential NotPetya into a contained incident, not a company-wide outage. Second, protect the human and identity layer with phishing-resistant authentication. Security keys based on FIDO standards make it much harder to succeed with vishing or fake login pages. Pair that with just-in-time privilege so powerful admin tools exist only when needed and for the smallest possible group, and watch those tools in real time for unusual actions. Minutes matter when the megaphone is being misused. Third, Treat the biggest platforms and critical providers as systemically important. Require regular stress tests, fast incident reporting, joint exercises with government and industry, and transparent limits on who can touch God mode tools. At the same time, help smaller suppliers reach the baseline because weak links are how these crises start. None of this is glamorous, but both cases show that fundamentals decide outcomes. Patch on time, segment what should have been segmented years ago, lock down privileged access, and practice before the sirens start. Closing thought. NotPetya showed how quickly a trusted update can become a global outage. The Twitter hack showed how quickly a handful of social engineering wins can bend public conversation. Different currencies, same lesson. Over-trusted systems are brittle. Let's make them less so.